Airsoft, and I am here with the man himself, Black Sheep 6. All right, Mr. Operation Black Sheep. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
It's
very exciting. Yeah.
Both of us.
Yeah. Well, we've talked to you on the phone before, and you've graciously given us a very long interview about Pine Plains and the Cove before the Cove last year. So you guys check that out. But we're here and we're getting the inside scoop. So we're gonna see what's going on. Okay. So tell us, this is your second year at the Cove, right?
Correct.
Okay. What do you think so far?
Just like anything new, you've got to build a base of experience and get enough people to taste it so that they can help spread the word about it. This is the only national level woods game, and I hate to use that word, but we are playing milsim in the woods.
Right. And woods game kind of takes away from what you guys are doing here, because this is really more like, land nav and kind of moving your squad and taking objectives and, as usual, I overheard you guys talking a little bit about some nuclear stuff and gold chest and all kinds of things, and waterborne stuff going on. So it's a pretty high level.
It's a very high level. It's as real as I can make it in a safe way, and it's just a blend of all these different things that come together to make the experience and an overwhelming positive experience for people that come here and do it. Terrain is challenging. We're in the Appalachian Mountains here. The main objective here in the center of the field is in excess of 1,600 feet elevation. Ridge lines, valleys, trails, and we make it, the objectives are real, the scenario is real, and it just blends it all together. And it's 24 hours long, so you're spending 24 hours in an environment that most people don't even take a walk through the park anymore.
Right, yeah. And so the terrain, this is it's easy terrain. It's all flat, very simple. You can do it in your tennis shoes, right? You don't need the right boots. It's very easy.
Now this event requires you to address in a very different way your entire kit. Your boots, your clothing so that you're not chafing, your whole gear so that you're not creating hot spots, which gun you carry, how many magazines you carry, how much water, the whole thing. Dressing in layers so that it's going to get down below in the low 50s tonight. So they've been sweating all day. How do you bring that gear into the field with you where you can layer up again and not face hypothermia in the middle of the night?
Right.
And then you have complete darkness. So, one of the things that we do as the military, we use plastic overlays and we put them on maps, and when you train with that for a very long time, you can see those graphics pop out of the map at you. That, a phase line is this road and I know that. And you can't mark it because the enemy would know it. Well, for safety reasons and to make it more fun for players, that our phase lines use a flag system. So that we have phase line blue, we have phase line white, we have phase line red. So there are red, white, and blue flags out there, but we also use LED lights for at night. So you see that trail winding up through the woods with a series of LED lights that lead you where you want to go.
Right.
And you're never lost that way. That makes it a lot more comfortable and fun.
Okay. What do you feel like? Do you feel like there are any major safety issues as far as the environment, or basically for the type of player that Black Sheep Games promotes? You kind of have a high level player where guys come out, they're prepared, they're ready, they understand the environment, they understand they're not going to be coming back to a hotel to sleep in the middle of the night. This isn't a rest. There's no continental breakfast in the morning. This is we're awarded it this weekend.
I try to mitigate all this. We do a risk assessment,
right?
We do and try to mitigate as many risks as we can. So part of this 3,000-acre site is not to put players into a 3,000-acre environment until I have enough players to keep them engaged within that environment. If you put these players out here into 3,000, they're going to get lost. They're going to wander around all night. So we start with although it's 3,000 acres, we're starting out with a smaller chunk, kind of restricting the battlefield to a degree, so we keep them engaged. So if they bump into each other, they're always in contact, and it's safer that way because you're in contact. The boundaries are marked, and we build it from a reasonable expectation. At the first game, 99% of the players at the final formation were Operation Black Sheep at Pine Plain veterans.
Okay.
So we took that experience base down to a new location and planted that seed here. At this game, we've got about 50% Cove veterans now and 50% first-timers. So they're working together. They're taking that veteran experience and transferring it to other people. So we build that base. And I've already got guys asking me, can we go longer? When we build that experience base of players that can share that with enough other people to extend the game to 36, 40 hours, then we'll do that. But I can't put a new venue, dangerous terrain, inexperienced players in a 40-hour game until they build up to that level. And we see it every time. And I told the guys this morning, if you're a Cove Pathfinder, then you started at 0. Next year you're going to be at 1. The guys that come next year will be at 0. The next year they'll be at 2. The next guy will be at 1. So no matter how many times people come to this game, the Pathfinders will always be one step ahead of them. Because you internalize those lessons, you figure out how to do it better next time, and you do it better next time.
Right. And let's quickly talk about, well, before we get to that, let's talk, we got the map here behind us, okay? And hopefully you guys can see it. It looks like you guys can. Okay, so we got the map here behind us, and these lines are your phase. These are the phase lines you were talking about that are marked off with LEDs, so guys can see their way through the night. No one's ever really lost. Everyone knows where they're going. Just to spell those rumors right away that people are wandering around the woods. That's not what's going on.
So bad if they walk
Actually,
away
this
from
whole
there.
system, guys, and this is just my opinion from talking to John earlier, this whole system changes, woods game, period. Woods ball, or whatever you want to call
That's what you don't
it.
realize
Woods Airsoft, Woods Mill Center. It changes it completely because this kind of allows guys, you kind of always know, if you have your map and you know where you're supposed to be in red, white, blue, you know what's going on, this kind of changes it. So let's talk about this. Is this what you've done the whole time?
This is for Cove 2.
Right.
This is the operational area. We are currently in Camp 6 at the CP. Phase line white runs from the north around the eastern section all the way around to the southern boundary. So the whole top left, bottom left is covered with flags and white LED lights. Coming from north to south down the western side is phase line red LEDs, red flags. So the red and white are running north and south. Blue is running east and west, so we have phase line blue 1 and phase line blue 2. So anywhere you go on the battlefield, you have a point of reference to know exactly where you're at. Whether you can read a compass and use a map, you know where you are. So the objectives are dispersed throughout the area. Objective 6, Objective 7, the main overlook mountain, 1,600-foot elevation. Number 5, down at the bottom, southern sector. Number 9, and number 4. And those are woven into I don't call it a storyline, but a scenario. Basically, I took the Grenada experience. We have hostages, friendly hostages being held by a local government. We're sending forces in to rescue the hostages, set up a LZPZ Lima so that we can bring in follow-on forces. We can extract the people. We're setting up ambushes or control points at critical intersections so that we can prevent the local forces from maneuvering around the battlefield. So we have intersection here controlled, intersection here controlled, enemy supply depot that they have to destroy and disrupt, so that we're disrupting the local forces. And what's interesting, there is no indigenous force here. It's both teams playing the same role in a force-on-force environment. Okay? So they both have the identical mission, but who can do it best is who wins the game. And we score this through a series of snapshots, and a snapshot occurs every 3 to 5 hours throughout the game, where I send the OCs out, observer controllers, and they tell me who owns the property. So on the first one at 16:30, I'm looking over your shoulder here. Objective 6, no one owned it yet, so nobody gets points. Objective 7, Bravo owned it. Objective 5, Bravo owned it. Objective 9, Alpha owned it. Objective 4, Alpha owned it. So at 16:30, the score of the game was 1,000 for Alpha and 1,500 for Bravo. And this is a cumulative score. They're out there fighting that war right now to turn this around, so that at the next snapshot, they get more points, and it's cumulative throughout the game.
Okay.
And then when we send them out on Frago missions, like you may have all heard about the boat mission,
Right. The
which
infamous waterborne Frago,
yeah,
right?
which I've had some of the soft guys have looked at the video, and we had some soft guys here at the Cove 1. They were like, holy shit, that is about as real as I've seen, and I'd love to do it.
Right. Very cool. Very cool.
So they get points on Fragos too.
Yeah. And guys, just let's talk about that really quickly. You know, as long as I've played Milsim, and you know, before that, kind of goofed around with the Airsoft, there's only been one promoter, if you want to call him, game organizer, who's done organized separate off missions for a squad, and that's BlackSheep Milsim. It's Operation BlackSheep. You know, with the famous stuff you guys saw GMR doing and their videos from a million years ago, and now the waterborne insertion. You know, let's talk about the waterborne insertion real quick, because that's a huge leap. You know, that's like a big jump from what guys can do.
It really was, and I dreamed up that mission, and I had to convince my guys that it was a worthwhile mission. And we had the Op 4 practice it, so that's part of our risk mitigation. We test the mission before we put people on it. I had some guys that were sitting in the briefing, and you can tell body language. Just like I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Sir, I'm scared of the water. I'm not going on that mission." And I said, "Well, we're not going to truck you there. You're not going to walk there. And if you don't go on the boat, you're not going on the mission." And I let it sit for a second, and I said, "Just sit there, listen to the briefing. And if you feel that way when we're done, you don't have to go on this mission." So I said, we're going to hug the shoreline. You insert in a covered and concealed position. You hug the shoreline around. Dismount the boats. You assault up onto the objective in the dark, and then you get back on the boats with your target, and you're done. I said, if by chance you fall out of the boat, stand up. Because the water is only knee deep. I would never put anybody cross water, deep water. Stand up. And he went on that mission, and you know, he's probably been afraid of the water for his whole life.
Yeah, I think for me, when I saw the videos, I said to myself, man, I don't know if I would do that, you know? And I don't know if you guys have seen Stars Are in Stripes, you know, they had the stars and all the gear with the bullets and everything, and the guy, they dropped him in the water, he fell out of the boat and he almost drowned. And I said, oh my gosh, you know? But it sounds like you've done a great job at kind of giving that experience and really sucking people into it.
Yeah.
You know, which is something that a lot of people can't do, because a lot of times you do get trucked to the environment and they say, oh, you know, you've been helicoptered in, or oh, you know.
And we do some of that, because we don't have helicopters. So.
Yeah, no, of course, but you know, this is a nice little extra piece that guys can get if they come here. So what's the criteria for participating in one of these? In one of these fragos, yeah.
Come to the event. Every squad that is here at Cove 2 is going to run that boat mission. We're going to run it 8 times, starting at 8 o'clock until 0600 in the morning, straight through the night. So they're doing it in the dark, nods, thermals, whatever they've got. Execute this mission, and it's a challenge, and the guys love it. It's a mission I would have done.
Very cool, very cool. And it's got to be a great challenge for you guys to be running that over and over again and resetting it.
It is. But you know, like I said, we practice, we drill it, so that I'm in here in the CP. I'm briefing the squad starting at 8 o'clock. that squad has to be back to the CP in an hour and a half for an AAR. So while they're out there doing their mission, I've got the next squad coming in behind them, and I'm briefing them. So I switch squads out so that, okay, you've got your briefing, there's the truck, go. You guys are done, come in, do your AAR. And it's just this revolving door all night long until people get done. When it grows, when this event grows, we will have other fragos that are equally good. We can use more terrain. Like one of the things that I really like to do on Frago missions is make people think. It's not step by step, lead you by the hand and do this mission. No, here's the mission. Figure out how to do it. If you do it well, you're probably going to succeed. If you screw it up, you're probably going to learn a very painful lesson. So, up at Fort Drum, what we've done is I brief them on a mission. We put them in a fake helicopter or a truck. We drive them around the battlefield. Driver stops the truck. The OC gets out and says, your helicopter's been shut down. Enemy territory. You now have to escape and evade to a new pickup zone 400 meters that way through the dark while the Op 4 is out there looking for you. And it's such a mind twist to go, okay, we're going to the mosque site to attack
So
it.
guys, their idea, they're thinking in their head, we're going to point A.
We're going to the mosque site.
To do our mission, and then all hell breaks loose.
Exactly.
Okay.
Chopper down.
Right, very cool.
Get out. And it's just, to be able to turn your mind on a dime like that, and most of our missions have that kind of twist to it.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so as far as the waterborne, everybody's going to do it. I just saw the boats just pulled out, so that's pretty exciting. What do you feel like as far as players, from what you've seen in your years of doing it, have tactics improved? Are guys getting better and better every year?
Oh, tremendous. To put this in perspective, when we did Operation Pine Plains 1 in November of 2008, a Frago mission was take this orange grenade, smoke grenade, had a rope taped to it, hang this on the anti-aircraft gun in the middle of in front of the hotel, pop the smoke, your squad gets points. Simple, stupid squad mission. The last event at Fort Drum, BlackSheep at Pine Plains, I was sending platoon-size Frago missions out to assault the airfield at night. 4 to 6 squads working together and assaulting a real-world objective. Take the airfield at night. Yeah. So, and the promise that I make to players is that as they evolve and get better tactically, the event will evolve and stay one step ahead of them, because I've got a pretty deep kit bag, tactical training, tricks, techniques, so that this whole thing I thought of on the ride down here. In the truck for 7 hours, and I was working this whole thing through my head. All I had to do was put it down on the terrain, so that, and I'm trying to train my guys, because they're like, oh, detailed plan, months in advance. It's no, because we don't know what the plan is going to be. We have a playbook of ideas that we can implement, but until we know the physical terrain, the weather, the number of people, the temperature, a whole bunch of different factors that play into, okay, is it safe? Is it tactical? And how do we do it in a game? And those are my 3 key questions when I do anything. So this whole scenario here was a really cool way to take a smaller group of people and put them in that 24-hour immersion event.
All right. Real quick, let's talk about players. Kit. What is the best piece of kit that a guy could bring to one of these ops? And are you seeing guys bring it?
Like I said, it's the CQB, and I admit that I'm part of this problem because I spoiled people up at Fort Drum with the mountain environment.
Right.
So everybody has this real fancy kit about how to fight the urban fight.
Right.
When you come down here to the Cove, you've got to evaluate that kit and adapt it to the terrain. I was a mechanized company commander. We wore the flak vest, we had Kevlar helmets and stuff, but when we went dismounted, it was soft cap, lighten the load, work in the dark. So the same kind of philosophy has to occur here. You need boots with good ankle support. You need clothes that can dry quickly. You need layers of clothes so that you can layer up or down as the temperature changes. You need, rather than a plate carrier and fancy helmet and goggles and all this kind of stuff, there's a lot of guys here wearing soft caps. They're wearing kind of the old style, the stuff I grew up with, the LBE.
Right.
Or the fancy kind of more rig, or the rig carriers. Rather than all this heavy gear, they're learning that they don't need to carry 27 magazines, because you can retcon 5 out of my game for liquids, ammunition, casualties, or equipment. It's a LACE report. So you can come back to the CP anytime you want to rearm, refit, get back out there and fight. So yes, the kit is important, and it's got to be adapted to the terrain, and the guys are doing it. Don't get me wrong. At Cove 1, they didn't know that.
Right.
Now they've learned it, and they're passing that veteran advice on to other players that are coming.
Do you see guys' gear kind of deteriorate as the op goes on? Guys will just start dumping gear?
Yeah, we do see that. Because we used to call it identifying the hot spots. Wear your gear, train as you fight, basically, is a good another term. But wear your gear so you know where it's going to rub you. And if it's too heavy, if it's lopsided or whatever, you fix it before you go out for 24 hours in the field. Most guys don't know that yet, so we saw brand new boots out here in formation. It's like they're going to be painful tomorrow.
Been there, done that. Jeez. Okay, so mountainous terrain. I met some of the Op 4 guys. They look like seasoned veterans of all your games.
That's an exciting thing that for the longest time we've had kind of a pickup Op 4. Revolved around a couple different teams, and they just kind of brought people from their local area up to play under very strict rules of engagement and disengagement. They work directly for me. What we did this year was we actually formed the BlackSheep Op 4 team. And the reason they look seasoned is that we are now recruiting from across the East Coast and potentially across the country to field this Op 4 team. They are sponsored by BlackSheep Wilson, and they will fight at every venue that we produce across the country.
Very cool. So that kind of leads us into the next question. What's in the future for BlackSheep Wilson?
Some exciting stuff, and I can't tell you exact locations or dates yet because I'm still working on venues across the United States so we can bring this phenomenal experience to other players across the United States. But I have requests out to about 14 different venues across the United States, from Washington, California, Wyoming, Kansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, New York still with Fort Drum, down in Georgia. And I want players to understand that trying to find a venue for our sport is an extremely difficult process. A lot of the facilities are structurally unsafe. There may be hazardous materials involved. The community may not want to support us. The owner of the property may not want to support us. So I don't care who the event producer is, whether it's me or my very nice competitors, because we really don't think of each other that way, because we offer different products or services. But when an event producer nails a site, support it, because it's taken a lot of work to get that online, and if we don't get the players to support it, then that event will go away from your area. And we're all trying to work to bring this wonderful sport to as many players as we can. So,
I think a lot of guys assume that it's just a simple thing of making a phone call, and they say, "Oh yeah, cool." I can tell you from our attempts with This Week in Airsoft, just trying to get it to set up an event before we knew how hard it was. It's very hard.
Yeah.
And most people say, what's Airsoft? What's Milsim? I don't understand. I mean, that's just a small hurdle, before you get into the other places.
Well, I can tell you, in the past 2 months or so since Pine Plains got postponed because of sequestration, I have spent anywhere from 8 to 16 phone calls to get a no. And that's how difficult it is. It's just every day figuring out how you're going to do this, and then making the phone calls, and you got to talk to Joe, you got to talk to Ben, you got to talk to Mary, and they're all in the same organization, but somebody has approval and somebody doesn't. And then it may still have to go to the final approval authority, and in a military way, that's the commander, or it might be the board for some piece of property that you've got to talk to.
So let's really quickly, Pine Plains, okay? Is Pine Plains coming back? I know sequestration. I work for the U.S. government. It's probably going to affect me in December when my contract is up. So I know exactly what you're going to do as far as that's concerned. What's the outlook here? Are we going to see it reappear?
Yes, Fort Drum, Loveless up there.
Okay.
Matter of fact, some of the other venues that I'm speaking to have called Fort Drum for references on our operation up there. Fort Drum told me that it will definitely affect everything through September of this year, which is the end of the fiscal year.
Right, exactly.
Hopefully, 2014 may change the situation, and I've already put the requests in for up there. So who knows? If it changes, then we'll be back. So maybe October at the beginning of the fiscal year, but hopefully spring again next year. But they definitely want us back, and it will be back.
Okay, terrific. All right. So, is there anything else that we need to know about? Any little little nuggets of wisdom? Anything players should know when they come to the Cove? Anything that people? Anything?
I think the most important part of this sport, and I've seen it in the Northeast, and that's why we're trying to branch this out, spread it out across the country, is the team-based aspect of this sport. This is not a lone wolf sport. It's not a run and gun with just this chaotic stuff. It's a squad of 11 guys or gals working together as a team. And think of any sport. Football has 11 people on it. Soccer has 11 people. I don't know. It's an effective fighting force in a sport. So I encourage everybody to start learning squad tactics, become proficient at squad tactics, learn how to work together as a team to support each other and build that camaraderie, and you'll be ready to tackle any event that I ever put on.
Squad tactics. Now, I know some guys in Maryland years ago told me, oh yeah, an officer from up north who does the Pine Plains games, and this is before This Week in Airsoft, before I knew about any of this stuff, they said, oh, he came down and he taught us all about squad tactics, and I didn't know, but I think that guy was probably you.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, yeah. So, the squad tactics class, are you still doing them?
I am.
Okay.
And to put it out there, 2 or 3 years ago, I did a 9-state, and this is probably when Maryland was talking about, a 9-state rotation and Canada teaching squad tactics. So the only thing that you need, it's really good for a new field, or you want to boost the level of proficiency at a field, is all I need is 22 players, and we can do squad tactics at your field. It costs $20 per person plus whatever field fee the venue wants to charge, and I have a squad tactics book and a mock tactics book that are $10 each. So I used to charge $40, and I couldn't get players to attend. So I dropped it in half because it's that important.
Right.
Now I can do up to 6 squads at one time. So from 22 to 66 people in 8 hours to go from 0 to hero and know how to make this sport work.
Right. Good. Yeah, airsofters are cheap, guys, because they're always busy buying cry. They're busy buying their cry precision gear.
Yeah.
But, all right, so I appreciate your time.
It's been a pleasure.
Right,
thank you so much, and we'll keep you posted.
Oh,
We're going to
absolutely.
invite you back.
No, yeah, we loved coming out, and hopefully in September we'll be back to play. I can't wait. All right. Thank you very much.